Hello, my name is In Outer Space, but you can call me Oliver. I've been on YouTube for, oh gosh, what, 7, 8 years now? Maybe even longer with older channels that I've had. And I've recently I've felt the desire to sort of just play and talk in the background and just relax and enjoy myself while talking about something that's important to me or something that I find relevant. So, this is what I'm going to do. What I want to talk about today is a lesson I learned as recently as last year about red flags in regards to particular people and how to navigate those red flags and become a better person as a result. I had a relationship last year and it seemed healthy, it seemed fine. But there were red flags from the beginning, and I'm not planning to discuss them here. But the one red flag I will discuss is right near the end. There was a period where I would spend, I want to say, 12 to 16 hours a day with this person, and they did the same thing. And around halfway through October, maybe a little earlier than that, everything was normal, everything was cool. We were playing a game, and then we stopped playing because he has to go somewhere. And so he does. I say, oh, yeah, it's fine, it's okay. I'll talk to you whenever you come back. He's like, yeah, sure, I'll be back. And so an hour passes, and I get a bit bored and I wait for him. But I wait. Another hour passes. And then another hour. And then 5 hours. And then 10 hours. And 24 hours. And then 48 hours. And then 72 hours goes by. Now, I was freaking out. I had thought that this person that I'd loved and cared for such a long period of time, I thought something had happened to them. They'd been silent for longer than ever. I never foresaw this kind of event happening ever between us, and it was just something that was happening, and I wasn't really sure how to approach it. So there was silence for 3 to 4 days. Absolutely nothing. It was just complete utter silence. I'd messaged them for hours at a time because he lived in a different country than I did. So I messaged him for days, and I got a response on the third day. And on the third day, he said something along the lines of, he was very distant. We were going steady, we were going fine. It was quiet, it was chill, we had no issues. We were talking, and what happened was he told me that he was having issues with his family, and he was getting a new phone, and we'd be able to talk when he gets that new phone. And I contacted a friend of his, obviously, because he was gone for 3 days without a single word. I was worried about him. And I noticed when I mentioned that, he seemed surprised, even concerned to an extent that I had done that. And at the time, I didn't really think about it because it was just, I was only worried about his safety, making sure that he was okay. But now that I've had more time to think about it, kind of weird how he was concerned that I would check on him through other people, as if he was surprised that I would be worried for his safety to some degree. So after that conversation, he says, I'm going to come back soon within a couple of days once I can use my phone. And we contacted each other on, I contacted him everywhere, but he didn't answer me anywhere. The way I contacted him was on PlayStation Network, right? And that's how he got back to me later that day. And now that I've contacted him on there, that's an established communication network, right? He can talk to me on there whenever he wants to. But he just decides not to. And so after those 3 days, he says he'd be back within a couple of days. A week goes by, an entire week, without a single word. And then 2 weeks goes by. And then 3 weeks goes by. Now, at this point, I have no information. All I know is that he at the time when he contacted me on the third day, that he was okay. That's the only information that I had. But as the weeks went by, I'd noticed that he'd be playing games on the same account without saying hi or reiterating that he was okay. He would be continuing life as normal, as if I had never existed. Essentially ostracizing me from his life without a single word. Now, obviously, I was hurt at this. Like, what other response would you have that would be valid than being hurt? It's a horrible thing to do to your partner, to be quiet for such a long period of time and then just continue life as normal. But because I loved him dearly, I gave him the benefit of the doubt, and I just thought, hey, he just might not be able to talk. Obviously, I was naive in thinking this. Even though I was naive, it felt right to give him a chance because I cared about him. So at this point, 2 or 3 weeks have gone by. I'm in contact with his friend because I'm trying to find some sort of way to communicate, because he won't communicate on PlayStation anymore. I'm trying to get his friend to pass messages to him, but he won't talk to his friend either, at least as far as I know. I don't even know if that's true at this point. But yeah, 3 weeks went by with almost completely nothing. Only something on the 3rd day and then nothing after that. What do you do about that? You know, you can't force them to contact you, but you can't just sit and wait forever. But I waited for almost an entire month, and he eventually, after I couldn't handle the silence anymore. And being in a relationship with someone for a period of time and then having them go quiet for a month is just not, in my eyes, it's just not acceptable. If something serious happened, you find a way to contact your partner to at least let them know that you are okay and when you'll be back. But that was never something that he did. And when he did do it, he never came back when he said he would. And so I message him that I'm done, that I'm finished, and then if he won't contact me soon, I'm gonna have to leave him. Because I don't have a choice. I can't just sit around forever. It's not fair. And wouldn't you know it, within a couple of hours, he finds a way to contact me. He explains to me what's happened, something serious has happened. It was a family issue, right? And I'm extremely sympathetic. I'm sorry that I was checking to make sure you were okay, that I was doing this and I was doing that, because I thought that I was such a terrible person, because here he was grieving and dealing with loss and something an issue with his family, and here I was demanding he contact me. Well, not demanding, but like begging him to contact me, trying to get him to answer anything. I felt like the absolute worst. And at that point, he was like, I'm going to be getting a job, I'm going to be doing this, and I'll contact you in a few days. Now, he can contact me whenever he wants, but the fact that he said he needed another few days was a serious red flag for me. My patience was running completely thin. So I just quietly said, okay, and waited for a few days. And he said he would never ghost me again on that day, right? A week goes by. A full week. And I told him if he did it for another full week, I'd drop him. And I dropped him. I broke up with him and never heard from him again. I don't know what he's up to now. Frankly, I don't particularly care that much. But the reason why I'm talking about it now is, well, there are 2 reasons. One, I was never aware that ghosting someone for a period of time in a relationship is actually emotional abuse. I knew it was getting to me. It was making me depressed. It was killing me not being able to be in contact with him. He was doing this on purpose. I still don't know why, because it wasn't who he was before, but he was a changed person at that point. And the other reason, the reason why I talk about it here, is because there's a lesson to be learned here. I met him when I was dealing with the loss of a friend and dealing with the loss of another friend. Like, I had a couple friends that I'd lost through previous incidents that perhaps I'll speak about at another time. And I was vulnerable. It was a time for me where I needed support. And at first, he was there. He was a good friend. For a couple of months, we went back and forth. We were really good to each other. We spent time together every single day, and we were really close. We were really good friends. And the first couple months of the relationship were really steady. It was steady, it was cool, it was calm. But then suddenly it just wasn't. Suddenly he was gone without a single word, and there was absolutely nothing I could do about it. And that's the sad thing. It was all completely out of my control. I was completely powerless. The lesson I learned was that no matter how nice and open and honest someone may seem, no matter how much of a guarantee of the future you feel like you have with the partner that you have, there is never, ever a guarantee that person will still be the same a month later. Everyone is always changing, no matter what. It could be something as little as finishing a term of school, doing an exam, and perhaps feeling a little pessimistic at the world after getting a low grade. Maybe you've had a breakup, and like I said, you're a bit more pessimistic about the world. You're a bit more disconnected. Or it could just be you've had a long, rough day, and things just aren't going well for you. And you change as a person because you feel like you have to adapt to this new strategy of human being you are becoming. When you get into a relationship with someone, you can't look at them through rose-tinted glasses. You can't look at them and think, hey, this person is a paragon of positive things. Because if you do, you set yourself up for failure. You set yourself up to be let down. You set yourself up to be made an example of, to a degree. There are some people out there who just really like having control. They could be really nice at first, and then all of a sudden they'll change for no reason. Like, even in normal relationships where everything's okay, like ours was a pretty normal one. It was fine. Even in a relationship like the one I had, where things were okay, everything was normal, we were cool. It could change just like that for little to no reason, and you don't have control over that. And it gets to you, you know, not having control over your half of the relationship is hard. And having someone have complete and utter control of you and just show that they really aren't a good person at heart, it's very disheartening. It's a terrible thing. But in the end, you always learn a lesson, and I learned a very important lesson. And that brings us back to friends and the hierarchy. You can decide where they fit on the hierarchy yourself. For me, I always prioritize partners because I felt like that was the default. You had to prioritize partners because that was the normal thing to do. If you didn't prioritize partners, you were a bad partner. And if you prioritize friends, then your partner would get jealous and they'd accuse you of cheating on them. For me, though, I've made a decision, a consistent, fair decision as to where I want to go in terms of my friendships. And I'm more than happy to have the friendships that I have and no longer have a partner for as long as I live. And now that seems a bit ridiculous, yeah, sure. But everyone can continue to learn a lesson, no matter how old you are, no matter how experienced you think you are, you will always be learning. You will always be learning new ways for people to disappoint you. And that's just the way things work. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. People are always going to let you down. Sometimes there will be people who will lift you up, be good people to you. And those people are some of the most important people in the world that you will ever meet. And you should treasure them, because there are never going to be people like that in your life again. They are 1 in a million. And you should keep them around. But you have to wade through a lot of people to get there. You have to ask yourself, is it worth it? For me, it was. I got a best friend, and I couldn't think of a life without him around. At the expense of maybe 20 friends, 30 friends, and 2 or 3 partners. Was it worth it, Oliver? You're probably asking. And yeah. Yeah, it was. I went through a lot of trauma with the relationships that I had, and same with a lot of the friendships that I had. But if I'm to sit here and say it's worth it, does it justify those things happening? No. It reinforces the fact that not always is something as negative as a bad relationship going to ruin everything for you. You can still have friends, you can still get close to people. You can't let it ruin all of your future relationships. Because there is always going to be someone special waiting for you out there. Maybe it doesn't fit the criteria of a partner that you expected. Maybe the special someone you're looking for isn't even a partner at all. It could just be your friend that you've known for a couple of years. It's been crushing on you since you were, what, 15? It could be the next door neighbor that you don't really know very well, but you'd like to get to know, and they would like to get to know you as well. It could be someone you've never met, who you will meet in maybe a few years and have a deep conversation and realize that people outside of your own bubble have things of value to say. You can't let a very select few people, or in my case, even a lot of people, dictate where you're going to be in your future. Because no matter what you think is going to happen in your future, there will always be someone out there who is ready to surprise you. Like I was surprised. So in the end, do I think partners are something that should be avoided? No. I think if you want to have a partner, be my guest. Be as happy as you want to be. Have your heart broken, love, lose, get married, have kids, have a partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. Have fun. But just, you have to keep in mind that the people that you idolize, the people that you consider to be better than yourself, the people that you would die for, your partners, your family, whatever, these people don't stay the same when you meet them. These people constantly change. The human condition, everyone changes at all times. And I think that's a very important thing to note. Because even though there are people out there who are good for you, for every person who is good for you, there's maybe 10 that aren't. You need to wade through all of the trash to get there. Now I know this was a pretty incoherent ramble, but I felt that it was important. And when I think about it at the moment, I ask myself, am I happy? Am I happy with how things went? Would I have changed anything? And the simple answer would either be yes or no. Like, yes, I would change something, and then I would tell you what I want to change. Or no, I wouldn't change anything, and then I'd say that I did just fine. But if I was to think back at that situation, I'd have to say to myself, maybe I would change one or two things, but for the rest of it, no, I wouldn't change a thing. Because although I'm sad that person is no longer in my life, I also realize this person was not a good person. He was not a good person for me, he was not a good person, period. And if I'd kept him in my life, Lord knows how much more damage he could have done to myself and to my other friends. So although I lost someone that I consider very close to me, I gained a further understanding of the human condition, and I became closer to my best friend that I've known for years, and I would consider that more special than any partner I could ever fathom of getting in my future. Because even though partners are extremely important to most people, and even to myself to some degree, you have to prioritize the people who are good to you, the people who treat you well. And although your best friends, and even your friends to some degree, might not be at the top of your list, if you don't have a partner, even if you have a partner, whether it's a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, or wife, making sure to prioritize your friends is also a really good thing that you should be doing. Because if you do that, you may have a friend for life that you didn't even realize that you could have had. And that is one of the most important things. Thanks for taking the time to watch this absolute ramble of a video. I'm not sure if I'll do any of these in the future, but I guess we'll just have to see. Sometimes it's nice to just get things off your chest, even if you don't continue to do them in the future. I hope you have a lovely rest to your day or night, and take care.